This episode of Old Roommates was made possible by listeners like you and our special Patreon member, Ryan Lovett. Thank you for your support of Old Roommates. Enjoy the episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit The Outsiders, classic 1983 film. So, grab your switchblade and stay gold. We're about to dive in.
Welcome, everyone, to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
And we're talking about The Outsiders today.
I know.
Probably a movie that has the most iconic cast, I think. At least one of the movies that has the most iconic casts.
That's quite...
But, you know, and maybe that's not the right way to say it. It's... Back then, they were newcomers. And you think about what each of these actors have accomplished in their lives. We're talking Ralph Macchio, Matt Dillon, Rob Lowe, CThomasHowell. Not sure what he's doing these days. Sorry, C. Patrick Swayze, Tom Cruise, Emilio Estevez, even Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers was in it, believe it or not. He was one of the Socias, uncredited at the end of the movie. Diane Lane.
Yeah.
You know who else is in it?
I didn't know Flea was in that.
Cam Neely is uncredited in this movie as a Soc. Wow. Leif Garrett.
Yeah, Leif Garrett.
Unbelievable. Like this, the list goes on and on and on. And when you think about 1983, most of these actors, even Tom, did I say Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Most of these actors, I'm assuming, I haven't done the research, but these were like one of their first roles.
Yeah, it is quite the diving board, the springboard of their careers.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Sophia Coppola was in this. I mean, it's like crazy. It just goes on and on and on and on. So, yeah, crazy.
Well, so we begin... As I thought we always do.
Listen, people like things to be mixed up a little bit.
Do they? By talking about then Christina. So Christina, 1983. Then, when was the first time you saw this movie?
God, I don't even know. Like 83, I was like, what does that mean? I was 15, 14, somewhere around there. I want to say the first time I saw it was probably a video. I don't think I went to the movies to see this movie. Mm-hmm. I do remember seeing this movie and really loving it. Mm-hmm. And I remember it, I feel like I knew did I know who Patrick Swayze was at that point in time? Who did I know? I must have known Matt Dillon. I think I might have known Matt Dillon at that time.
I hate when you do this because it just forces me to look things up.
Well, that's why I do it.
I think Patrick Swayze had only done like Skate Town, USA.
I think I'm thinking about Matt Dillon. I think I knew somebody in it. But then I'm watching it and I remember, I swear to God, this was the moment I like fell in love with Rob Lowe. I remember seeing this man, a boy, and I was like, he is so gorgeous.
Rob Lowe.
Well,
because he has that shower scene.
Well, that I forgot about till...
I didn't forget about that.
I forgot about that. No, his face is just so adorable.
He's beautiful.
And the other thing, too, is he's not in it very much. No. And I think that's part of it. It was like, when is he coming back? When is Rob Lowe coming back? And I didn't know his name, obviously. It was like, when is Soda Pop coming back?
Did you ever read his memoir?
No.
Yeah, it's supposed to be amazing.
Really?
Yeah. So... This is Patrick Swayze's second movie.
Okay.
I mean, like,
so it wasn't Patrick Swayze. It was I thought it was Matt Dillon.
I think all that... Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Your timing is perfect.
Long episode.
We just had like an hour-long conversation. Not one little hiccup. And we turn on the recorder and...
But Patrick Swayze, it drives me crazy because he was in Ski Town, USA in 1979. This is his second movie in 1983. So 4 years there. There's no good reason, and we talked about this before, that he couldn't have done Xanadu. They should have grabbed this guy for Xanadu. He is a grown man. Oh, so let me talk about me.
Yes, okay. Okay.
Back then.
Anyway, yeah, I loved it, and I loved Rob Lowe. Good.
Yeah, so me, I think I also saw this on like cable or VHS for the first time. I was a teenager. But I mean, in 83, I would have been 11. I wouldn't have rushed to see this movie, not my kind of movie. But I think that was the thing. It's like, I watched it. It wasn't my thing. To be honest, I found it a weird mix. I remember thinking this is pretty cheesy.
Really?
I remember thinking it was very, like, a little hammy and dramatic. Like, because I didn't know.
So how old do you think you were when you first saw it?
Teen. I was probably
you
14,
think you were still
13, 14
so
years old.
So you feel like you saw it, like, right when it came out?
So it came out in 83. I was 11.
Oh,
so
okay.
This is years later. So, but I was absolutely a teenager.
Yeah.
I'll say 14. Okay, so probably the same age as you were when you. Okay, but I remember thinking like, this isn't my thing. These are kids. Like it's just like it's not. It's a world I would never could relate to, and I thought it was a bit hammy and a bit just overly acted and overly dramatic, and I was just like, like honestly, like I remember vividly when the killing happened. I was like, well, that was stupid. Like, why did he killed the guy? Like, and I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't connect. I couldn't relate to their plight. I grew up poor, but I didn't grow up.
You weren't a greaser.
I wasn't a greaser. I wasn't a soch, certainly. So it's like but I think that was the thing. I couldn't relate. I couldn't connect to like they kept getting themselves into these awful situations. And I just couldn't relate to or connect to that at that age, you know?
Yeah. I think, for me, I really liked it when I was younger. I did relate in a... Like, not really necessarily a... I mean, I wasn't a greaser either. And I certainly wasn't a soch. But for some reason, I did sort of relate. I think I knew people like them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I had... Not like them, but, like, I felt like I knew people that were a little bit... more rebellious and things like that. So I kind of could relate a little bit. And maybe I was a little bit older. Maybe I was more like 15 or something, because I do feel like I could relate to that whole like rich guy versus poor guy kind of situation.
You know, it's so weird that we're having this conversation. I was talking to someone the other day, and I was explaining that like when I grew up in like the 80s, like everything was bad, and you knew it was. Like, everything we need to know about drugs and just say no, just say no. Everything you need to know about sex. It was a weird time to be like an 80s teen, okay? Or 80s kid, whatever you want to call it. But I think, and this movie takes place, in the 60s?
In the 60s,
So meaning now, when I was a teenager, I'm not surprised I didn't like it, because I thought a lot of these choices were bad. They knew they were bad choices. Like, to grow up in like sort of a confined 80s, everything's bad for you kind of way, it made the movie a bit weird to watch for me. If that's
I didn't feel that way at all. Yeah. And I actually felt like it was a lot of it surprised me. Like I don't know if I knew the story, and I know now. Like so, I will just to backtrack a little bit. One of the reasons why we're even revisiting this movie was Emily, my daughter, was assigned it for a summer reading. And so it kind of reminded me of it. And I don't think I ever read the story. You didn't have that growing up, right? Did they assign that? No,
that was a book. That was one of the books we had to read.
You did? I don't think I read it.
I think I read it.
So I wonder, did you read it beforehand or after? I wonder if that had anything to do with how you're feeling about the movie.
I think I read it before. So, but I mean, does it matter if I don't remember? I don't remember.
I'm just kind of curious how that.
I mean for me. I mean from my point of view. I don't think it matters to my point. I'm not saying it doesn't matter that if you care. I mean, it's like for me personally. Like if I don't remember the book, does it matter that I read it? Probably not.
I'm just curious about it because I did sort of relate to the story. Well, I guess relating is not really the word for it. Not necessarily relating, but I could get in there. I could be in there with them.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it was because it was in the 60s or whatever. I was like thinking it's a movie. I didn't necessarily have to be.
I see what you're saying. Like, you're not connecting it to a modern day experience.
Right. Like, they're smoking. Yes, they all smoked.
Right, yeah.
Yes, they had gangs and, you know, sort of maybe it was around West Side Story times for me. I don't know. But, yeah. But I remember even, like, when he was being killed, I remembered that being scary and being surprised. And I liked, back then, I liked the way they did it. Where you didn't see him kill. No. You just all of a sudden saw the water, I thought, the water turning red. Yeah. And I was like, I thought that was a cool way to do it. And I remember being really sad, like crying at the end of the movie.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember being very affected by the end of the movie.
Oh my gosh, Christina, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So should we dive into now?
Let's dive into
really
now.
Really quick, though, so since we're diving into now, I want to ask right off the bat, like, what was Emily's take?
So Emily, like I said, she had to read the story, and I told her, I'm like, you have to read the story before we watch this movie.
For
like,
sure,
obviously. Yeah. And what's interesting, just a little side note, for her school, instead of writing a report about it, she could choose a variety of different ways in which to report this story. One of the ways is to create a 5-song playlist for one of the characters. Isn't that...
Schools seem different to me.
It's so different. I'm like, really? Yeah. So she chose that and whatever. But anyway. But I told her, I said, you can't, I'm like, you cannot use any of the movies, you know, because she hasn't written it up yet. She already read the story. And I said, you can't use any of the songs that you hear in the movie.
Although there aren't.
There's just a couple, but not really. The Stevie Wonder, which I totally forgot about.
Oh my God, I don't
so
like
bad.
That.
It's so
really
bad. Gloria was in it.
Like, Gloria.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, yeah.
Right. Van Morrison sings it. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, did you just ask what she chose for?
So they're just curious of the character.
So, some of them were, Mother Knows Best from Tangled, because in the story, Derry is much harder on Ponyboy. He's much more like, you have to go to school, and he thinks that he hates him, but he really is just being like, the mother. And then Cabinet Battle from Hamilton, because of the fight. Okay. The Cabinet Battle is like a rap battle in Hamilton. And then she wants to do the Gone with the Wind theme song because of the book that they're reading. So I forgot what the other things were.
Wow. That's
so she had a few. Crazy Train. I think she wants to do Crazy Train because
they jumped in the train. Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know if that wasn't why. No, Crazy Train was more because when Dallas goes crazy after Johnny dies.
So diving into now.
So when did you see this?
I think about a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
It feels longer ago, to be honest. It didn't quite stay with me. But my immediate thoughts were CThomasHowell is a revelation in this film. Mm-hmm. I don't think of him. I mean, you mentioned earlier in a bit dismissive way that.
Well, I'm just saying I haven't seen him in a while.
I have not seen him in a while either. But I thought, what a solid young actor. Mm-hmm. He had a lot to carry in this movie, and I think he did extraordinarily well.
Agreed.
I like the look of this movie. I thought most of the acting was quite good. That's just an overall note. But I'll start with one of my biggest positives. I loved. Oh my God, I'm drinking water. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening right now. I loved the drive-in sequence. Mm-hmm. I thought, it meant nothing to me as a kid, but I remember as now being a grown-up, it's like, what a cute, interesting, sharp way of getting to know these characters. Mm-hmm. It felt very natural. It felt like something all these characters would do. It felt like real experiences. It felt like, he would be a total pain in the ass. I liked that Cherry, played by Diane Lane, was not smitten with this guy who was acting like a jerk. No, she really thought he was a jerk.
Although, did you notice at the beginning she was giggling. She was like, and then he crossed the line. And then
but I liked that because it was you learned about her, you learned about him, you learned about Johnny and the others, and it's like. But I thought it was a really cool way of learning about these characters and what makes them tick, what annoys them, and that was, I think, that's probably my favorite part of this movie.
I agree. I loved that scene too, and for all the reasons that you're saying, it's a great way to really differentiate where everybody's... I mean, think about that. In like that one scene, that, Cherry is like an upstanding person. She's fair.
Yeah.
That Bob, her boyfriend's an asshole and a drunk.
Yeah.
Like, it was like probably 2 sentences that he says, and you already established where he's coming from. You know the personalities, like you're saying, of Johnny, super with you can tell something else is going on there. You can tell that Dallas. So Dallas, he's has this bad reputation, and he's obviously like this big rebel, and has a past, and is an asshole, but also super charming, and people like him. I mean,
I love Matt Dillon in this.
I can't even tell you how much
I laughed through the whole thing. Much like this kid.
Yes.
You're just like, sure, kid.
I've met this kid. I've dated this kid. But I love that. It's just, like you say, it's just so well done. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel like it's force-feeding you. Mm-hmm. You already know so much about them in a very natural environment. It doesn't seem like they're in a place where they wouldn't be just to get to know them, just to meet Cherry.
Yeah. It felt completely organic.
I love that they crawled under the fence.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seemed like this is where people go to hang out.
That's right.
And people
jumping, and they show the trunks opening, people jumping out of the trunk, and just,
And you see the clashes of the social, difference. Mm-hmm. The socias and the greasers. You see fights breaking out between people who aren't part of the main cast. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you see that there's already a lot of that. And I really liked that part of it. You see, them getting in fights in lines. And
I also can't quite express how frustrated I would be trying to watch a movie with someone flirting with me, talking to me, bugging me, standing up. Like, I would be so pissed off. I was trying to watch a movie, and all those shenanigans were happening. That's a middle-aged lens.
Yes.
So I was like,
I was here to watch a movie. I paid $8 to get in here.
Well, in 1960, whatever.
It's probably
but it's also right. But it's also I was like, Cherry has the right response to this.
Yes.
She's trying to watch a movie with her friend. Like, I don't care how cute this guy is. To me, it's like, I mean, unless it was like Herbie watching like Herbie or something, like some innocuous thing. But like, they're trying to enjoy this movie.
Yeah. Although it didn't prevent her from having a conversation with Ponyboy.
Absolutely true.
And I'm sorry, I have to say, her friend. I have her written down. Her name. I think Marcia was Cherry's friend that she was sitting with. The actress is Michelle Mayrink.
Okay.
Mayrink, never heard of her before. She reminded me so much of Melanie Griffith. I had to look her up because I'm like, I kind of knew that Melanie Griffith wasn't in the movie, but she had this way about her, like her giggling, almost like a drunk Tess.
Interesting.
It reminded me so much of her. I'm like, oh my gosh, is that? No, I know it's not, but who is that?
She didn't strike me either way, but I was glad that Cherry wasn't at the movies by herself.
Yes. Yeah, it was mostly when she was talking to Two-Bit.
And they seemed like good friends. Like, she left with her.
Yes.
Like, out of the car when the guy was being a jerk. She didn't have to.
No, she did. She stood by her girl.
I did love Diane Lane's line, what's a nice boy like you hanging out with that trash? The word trash is thrown around quite a bit in this movie.
And I love that word.
I love the word trash.
Yes, you do.
It's very Blanche. Let's see. My first a bit negative. So I'm going to be honest. I did laugh a couple times, and I knew I wasn't supposed to be. Mm-hmm. There was a scene where you see the silhouette of, I believe it's Pony. Is it Ponyboy's parents or Johnny's parents fighting?
In the window?
Yeah. I'm like, I wrote down, I was like, I feel like I just watched someone being murdered.
Oh my gosh, it was really bad.
I hate when my parents fight. I'm like, I think your father just killed your mother.
Yes.
Like,
I'm pretty sure.
It was a very, very violent silhouette. I think it could have held back on that.
Force feeding. Okay, we get it. Like, you
It's
didn't have to show so much.
You could hear it. Right. Christina, exactly. You already heard it. You didn't have to see it.
Yes.
Because, and also, for him to say, I hate when my parents fight, it's like, no, you hate when your dad is beating the living life out of your mother.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, yes.
But I did laugh.
I didn't laugh at it, but...
like, this is a bit much. It was like a little like, I hate when my parents fight, and you just hear like, whack, screaming, blah. I'm like, oh my God, she's dead. She's dead.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny. I have so many notes here, but I don't know a lot here. Oh, you know what I did? One thing that I thought was funny from Cherry.
Yeah.
I think it's a little further down the line. Not too bad. She bumps into Ponyboy again. I think it was, I don't know when it was, but she said she was asking about Dallas and that kind of thing. And at the end she goes, I hope I never see Dallas Winston again. If I do, I'll probably fall in love with him.
Oh, right. Absolutely. But do you remember what Dallas says? I wrote it. I rewatched it like 3 times.
A little further down.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna recite it.
Recite it.
Man, that little broad sure does hate me. I offered to take her to the Dingo for a Coke, and she told me to go to hell. Pause. So, you think she might like me a little bit?
I busted out.
Like, just Matt Dillon.
I busted
Matt Dillon's, like, reading of that, and, like, and Diane Lane, for that matter. It's like, they really, like, she can't stand him, but she knows, like, oh, God, if he could only clean himself up a little bit.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Well,
that's what I mean. Like, he's an asshole, but he's so charming. And I'm not even kidding you. I've dated... people like that, like
what
probably
becomes of them?
I have no
You
idea. Well, I wouldn't marry them.
No, what becomes of them? Like, do you ever see them on Facebook or anything?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't dare look them up.
Answer, yeah. I'm sure
I don't dare if I ever did.
Never
I'm just
do
kidding.
that.
No, I have no idea where they ended up.
Well,
I'm afraid to ask.
Moving right along, I did love the fountain scene, but oh my God, they were going to absolutely kill him. They were saying
drown him. They were saying it.
That's murder. Oh my God. So I was glad the guy was stabbed.
Yes.
I was shocked. I agreed with what you said in your then review.
Yes.
How the blood filled the fountain or came into the fountain.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. And actually, it's done a little differently and more graphically in a movie called Let the Right One In. It's a I believe it's like a vampire form. I saw this movie a long time ago, but the person's holding their breath under the water, and their friend is like a. Oh shit! That's the ending of it. Yeah, I'm not going to continue, but it's done really well.
It's done. Okay.
But it's Let the Right One In. It's a foreign film, horror. But anyway, but it's a very similar scene. Obviously, this is way before that movie.
Sure.
But I thought it was very effective and not super graphic. But I was really surprised. Mm-hmm. Do you know where I'm going with this? That his friends got scared and ran away.
Yes. Well, what I thought you were going to say was I was really surprised at the graphic. Well, rewatching it, it's just red across the screen.
Oh, see, I thought
I did not remember. I was like, oh my gosh! Like Emily and I and Matt were all just like, what? Like super cheesy.
Oh, I respectfully disagree. I thought it was in the water. When I was watching this, it's like the water had this like puddle of blood coming in. Was it fake looking?
Yes.
Completely. But it's like, I mean, I think they were trying to keep it PG. I think they were trying to, I didn't think it was cheesy. I actually thought it was effective.
The way I saw it, it was like the actual lens of the camera.
Yeah.
So you imagine the lens. They just like spread red paint across the lens of the camera. It didn't even look like the water was turning red.
Christina, I still have it. I still have the copy.
We'll have to let's watch it.
Watch it
I
after.
really want to see it
because
and I have the same version. I have the 91 one that you have.
Because that'll be a Patreon thing. But it's like I really remembered it being like. I mean, I just, watched it a week and a half ago, but it was like, it flowed in. It didn't just turn red like...
We'll have to look at it.
Wow.
Well, that's how I saw it. And,
okay, fine.
This is middle-aged Len's eyes watching it, too.
So, you said Matt and Emily, too.
Yeah, we all kind of laughed at that. And my memory of it was so different.
Okay.
My memory of it was that the water just turned red all of a sudden.
We'll have to watch it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's definitely do that. But yes, good. The guys leaving, it didn't really surprise me that much because I could see it turning completely violent like that, and then them freaking out like, oh my God, and just like leaving. I could see it because they were kind of, they were jerks.
Wait a minute. Christina, so you mean tell me this little kid with a knife walks over and stabs the guy in the neck, I guess. So all 4 of the other guys, there are 4 other guys, they're like, whoa, and they just run away?
Yes, I don't know. They were all drunk.
No,
it was late night.
If you see someone stabbing your friend, you are going to like jump on him and clobber him.
Well, in my experience, we run.
Oh my God, Christina, I am being stabbed in the neck. And you, Jen, and Naomi are going to, like, run away.
Yeah.
Oh!
I'm just kidding. Well, no, if we're all trying to drown somebody initially.
I don't know.
That was bad. It took it to another level.
It's complicated.
It is complicated.
But they were going to kill that kid. They were going to kill Pony Boy.
Oh, my God. So fun. This is another one. I fucking laughed. When they go to find... So, after this has all happened, they Johnny kills...
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah.
They go find Dally.
Yeah.
And they, they're trying to get... He's at some sort of weird bar type thing. I don't even know where it is. But he comes to the door. He's like, what's going on? And so he goes, Johnny killed a Soch. Good for you. Let's go. Okay, good for you. Let's go. That's what he says.
He also says...
dying.
It's also Matt Dillon. He also says, man, I thought New York was the only place I'd end up with a murder rap. That is funny, right?
It's hilarious.
It is supposed to be funny.
It's hilarious. This character, I'm telling you, he just did it for me. He just did it for me. I'm telling you, I would date him now if I met him.
Oh my God.
Well, if I wasn't married and happily mother.
Well, I'm sure there's a fountain nearby.
Stop it. I could just see his appeal. He's just so adorable. He's so funny.
But does he know? Is he trying to be funny? I don't think he is.
I think no.
So they're really laughing at him.
Well, it's just what it is. I'm laughing at like his attitude.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily.
He is a great character. He lacks self-awareness, but he says a lot of funny things, and I think at the end of the day, I think he means well.
Well, that's the thing. It's like he has that, like the line you were saying before, like, oh, so do you think she likes me a little bit? Like, it's just so adorable that he doesn't see himself as the world kind of sees him, I guess. He's just such a good character. I love him. I really, really love him.
Next up, so Dallas is very nice to these guys.
Yes.
They run to Dallas and say, we killed somebody, and he says, great. And then he's like, here's $50, and he doesn't give them a gun.
Yeah.
He does. Okay, $50 and a gun.
Yep.
I'm going to hide you in the steeple of a church. Mm-hmm. You're going to hang out there for a few days until things settle down a little bit. I'm going to tell everybody you went to Mexico or whatever.
Right.
And they said, sounds like a plan.
Yeah, they're like, all right.
They then buy groceries or whatever. One thing they don't buy, scissors. Which, so they're cutting their hair with like a knife.
Cringing the whole time.
But also, Johnny, really? So Johnny decides, I'm going to dye Ponyboy's hair bleach blonde, and I'm just going to cut my hair a tiny little bit.
A tiny bit. And he's the one that's
he's the one that is wanted for murder. The other kid's the victim. It didn't make any sense to me.
These reminded me of Stefano DiMera disguises because they did not look any different than they did before. No. They're not fooling anybody with the, I'm going to cut an inch off the back. And I'm going to rinse. The other thing, he's going to take all the grease out of his hair.
Yeah. How about
that's his disguise.
A baseball cap, a winter cap? How about shaving your head?
My God. And the whole bleach, that was so funny. I'm like, why is he making him do the peroxide? But he doesn't do it. At least both of them should have done it. Right. I mean, that would have been a little bit foolish, but cut all the hair off.
You're exactly right. I didn't even consider that. He's the one who killed the guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one who should be, like, really hiding out.
Yeah, I was totally reminded of Stefano DiMera disguises when I saw that.
Someone says, and I don't know, someone said, and I quote, get your jollies. Did you catch that?
Yes.
I'd never heard that in a movie before. Okay.
Johnny says that because he'd already cut... And actually, it was kind of cute, like that little banter. It was kind of like lighthearted for the first time in the whole movie. But he had already done the hair situation with Pony Boy. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, all right, my turn. He's like, all right, get your jollies.
And I couldn't think. I was like, did they say that in the 60s? I thought that was almost like a 80s. It was creation.
It was strange that
get your jollies, but I wrote it down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did love the line that Ponyboy says about his hair. It's a really great line. It's like being in a Halloween costume you can't get out of.
Love that.
I laughed out loud.
I laughed at that too. That was really, it was so, I mean, it was very, very, very smart. Like, it was true.
I want to talk about the montage of their time together. Now, so just so you know, I did a little bit of research. So when they're spending time with the church, okay? And in the director's cut, which is considerably longer. I remember I warned you. I was like, don't get the director's cut. But it's like a lot longer. But here's the thing. That montage is cut out.
Oh my gosh, that's weird.
Isn't that so weird?
Is it because they felt like they needed to show more about what they were doing together? I mean, is the longer version...
I don't think Francis Ford Coppola liked it. I think he thought it took away from the overall tone of the movie. But to your point, it's really only one of the few times of lightness. And I did feel it was a little bit Disney. Like, let's catch a rabbit. Catch him. And then the other one is, it's like watch your smokes. And they're like just playing around.
Well,
like,
I thought that was interesting.
It felt a little, like, I'm just going to say it, almost a little Brokeback Mountain-ish. Like, I felt it had some gay vibes. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't remember this part. But I think that's my middle-aged lens.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting with the Watch Your Smoke, Johnny. So, in the book... It's Johnny's cigarette that starts the fire in the church.
Okay.
I noticed in the movie
that's not
they
addressed.
Never know what the cause is.
Yeah.
It could have been just the kids playing with matches or something. Nobody knows. But I think that was put in there specifically to suggest that it was Johnny's cigarette. But it was really interesting. And I didn't remember that. I remembered the story because Emily's been talking about it. I didn't read, like I said before, I hadn't read the book before. So I knew that part of it because of Emily talking about it. So when he said, watch your smoke, Johnny, I was like, oh, they're foreshadowing. Mm-hmm. But they never followed up on that.
So here's what's funny. I didn't remember this fire. But I remember, in fact, I thought Johnny died from, like, gang violence. I didn't remember the fire.
Oh my gosh, it's like a huge part of it.
No, I know. Until he said, watch your smoke. So I was like, oh shit, that's right. The church goes up in flames.
So you remembered it
I remembered it from the cigarette moment. And then everything else connected together. But I did write, part of their disguise must have been developing much stronger Southern accents all of a sudden. You know how I am with accents.
Yes.
I feel that when these two were left alone in that church, their Southern, what is it, Oklahoma? It's like their accents.
I'm not sure where they are.
Where does it take place? But I think it's Oklahoma. But it's
that makes sense.
But their accents really get enhanced, and I feel like that, like halfway through the movie, like it's almost like they forgot they were supposed to have accents. It was weird.
I wonder, and it's funny. I wonder if these scenes when they were taped. Or when they were
like in order.
So I wonder if these were one of the beginning scenes when they taped it, and their accents are stronger.
Yeah.
And then as they are moving along in the filming process, maybe they lost their accents a little bit. So that's interesting. I didn't really notice it.
Mm-hmm.
I was too busy watching that really fake background. Like
the sunset.
The sunset. That whole scene with them sitting outside with the Robert Frost poem, the whole Stay Gold stuff. I was so distracted. I couldn't even really hear what they were saying because I'm like, I cannot believe how fake the background is on all this. It was so glaring to me. Did you find that to be true, or is it just me?
So I'm getting flashbacks to our Terminator episode.
And Witch Mountain episode is the same. It felt like there was a green screen
absolutely
behind
screen.
there.
And of course, like technology has
it's changed a lot. Middle-aged lens for sure.
Yeah. So, but do you? I mean, I obviously noticed it was a green screen too. allowed it because it was 1983. Like it didn't. To your point, it didn't take me out of it, but I was like, oh, it's unfortunate because it's such a moment for this movie.
It took me out of it because
it's pretty fake.
It was kind of like it was laughable how fake.
Only
it
because they kept talking about how good it was, right? Because that's what that's the thing. It was like sunsets and stuff like that, and the sunset is the fakest thing you've ever seen. But
yes,
because the scene is about that, it's unfortunate that it's not done better. I do think. Excuse me. I do think though that had it worked better, that's really a nice shot of Pony Boy with his blonde hair standing with, I mean, he's as golden as he can be with the sunset and his gold hair and everything else. So this idea of stay gold. I mean, it's kind of it's a nice moment. It's unfortunate that the special effects weren't better.
And now that you're mentioning it, maybe that's why Johnny didn't dye maybe they didn't have Johnny dye his hair because now,
it just ties in
with the stay gold stuff.
The next note I have is Sofia Coppola. Like you mentioned her before, and she's like, have a dime. And doesn't Matt Dillon yell at them?
Yeah. They were like, I think they asked for 15 cents first. And he's like, no, we got nothing. And then he's just like, how about a dime? And he like yells. He's like, get out of here. I don't even like, he's something like, I don't like kids or something like that.
That sealed the deal for me.
Before that, let me tell you, so funny, I know. So before that, did you notice he asked Johnny for a cancer stick?
Yes, I did notice that.
Yeah, I remember calling them cancer sticks. Isn't that terrible?
I've heard it mentioned before.
I just don't know. I cringed. Right, I'm like, oh.
I like when at one point he says, I think it's Matt Dillon. He says, "This place is out of it."
I don't remember that.
I think he was. I'm trying to think what he was talking about. Was he talking about the diner they were at, or like wherever they were hanging outside?
It was a Dairy Queen. You notice that?
It was Dairy Queen. That's right.
Isn't that funny? An old-fashioned Dairy Queen.
This place is out of it.
That's really funny. I loved that Soda Pop sends a letter with Dallas because everybody knows Dallas knows where they are.
Yeah.
Even though he's like, well, I told them we were going to Texas, but they don't believe me. And he has this really nice letter, to Pony Boy or whatever. And he, at the end, says, signed, Soda Pop Curtis. So adorable. And I love that everybody was making fun of his hair. I just loved that, those interactions of his friends kind of making fun of his blonde hair.
But I'll be honest, CThomasHowell, it's like, I mean, he doesn't have big dramatic moments.
No,
but
he doesn't.
He's so solid throughout this whole movie. His really reactions feel real.
Yeah.
He's very good in this movie.
I have to say, I really enjoyed the acting on almost everybody in this movie.
Almost everyone, eh?
Almost everyone.
Are we going to get to that? Because I have my least favorite performance in this movie.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if it's the same one.
We'll get to it.
But I will say, I did enjoy most of them. We can get...
Well, no, really quick, because one more thing, because we're getting into the fire.
Yes.
I wrote down, I absolutely love, and I don't know who he is. I'm guessing it's Matt Dillon's character. So I love how he's covered in soot and smoking.
That's CThomasHowell.
Oh, CThomasHowell.
That's sitting after the fire in the waiting room.
Okay,
and he's completely covered head to toe, and he lights up a cigarette. I remembered that from way back when I first saw it. And what's funny, and we were all laughing about that, and he lights up a cigarette, hilarious moment. Mm-hmm. And then the person next to him, was it the principal or some older adult involved in that? He's smoking.
Yeah, it's the principal of the church. Was
it the principal of the church school or whatever?
Yeah.
He's smoking, and he's lecturing him not to smoke. I'm like, that was such a true moment, I think, from back in the 60s, where an adult who is smoking is lecturing a child not to smoke.
Yeah.
I think that was so true.
2-Bit, played by Emilio-Estevez, has a really funny line. Mm-hmm. I would drive, but my brakes went out on my car. Almost killed me and Kathy the other night. Thanks. I mean, I feel like, if we had cell phones back then, they would have already known that information.
Yes.
I almost just died with Kathy in the car. 2-Bit, I didn't get much from him. I don't think it was a bad performance, but I was like, I'm guessing he's probably better written in the book.
I liked him. Yeah. I thought he was just sort of a fun character to me. I thought he was like comic relief, if you will. Just that goofy friend who's never serious.
You know what drove me crazy in middle-aged lens? He was eating that beautiful chocolate cake, which who made that?
Oh my God, I have that as a note. Who made the chocolate cake?
None of these gentlemen.
None of them.
None of these gentlemen would have made a fucking double layer chocolate cake
Frosted.
like that. And it looked beautiful. It looked delicious.
Yeah.
And 2-Bit comes along and shoves his hand in it and eats it with his hand. It's I would have been so pissed off.
Yeah. That part I agree with. But I think for the most part he was funny. He was making fun of the Socs. Oh, you expecting a flood? When they have the short pants. And he was just I liked his character. I liked when he came on screen. I enjoyed him. Can I tell you my least favorite character now?
Please do.
My least favorite performance?
Yeah.
A little actor named Tom Cruise.
That's all over.
Was that the most ridiculous performance?
I have a half page of notes about Tom Cruise and how awful he is.
I hate to say anything about appearances, but he was not attractive in this movie.
Here's my note. Tom Cruise looks different. Seems like... I wrote, seems like he has a nose job, a teeth job, and a face job.
And
again, I don't like making fun of people's appearances.
No, but there's definitely with the teeth.
He looks friggin' different.
And actually, now that we're talking about it, I feel like there was a point in his career that he had braces.
Yeah. And also because in the big thing with Tom Cruise that people talk about, because he's quite flawless, let's be honest. But in this movie, he looks very different. But his teeth don't, they don't line up.
And I knew that, let me tell you something. I'm really proud of myself because when he was in risky business, in his heyday, I remember seeing pictures of him and telling people, I'm like, he has a tooth in the middle of his face. It's in the middle,
right.
It's right in the middle of his face. And people were like, really? I'm like, look.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh my God.
It's true.
So, yes, but he definitely, I do feel like later in his career he had braces, but he's definitely had some work done in between The Outsiders and Risky Business. He had some sort of work.
He is arguably one of the most handsome movie stars in history, but in this movie he looks quite different. It is notable. It is
very
noticeable and notable.
And his acting was horrible.
I wrote, he is crazy. I said, I don't get it. He's weird. It's aggressive. He's doing backflips off the truck for no reason at all. He is humping one guy.
Yeah.
And at one point, he just starts talking and changing his voice and doing voices. I'm like, I feel like it was yeah, you got this role. And he's like, I'm going to make it mine. But he's making...
make it a terrible
actors
role,
have choices. He made a lot of bad choices.
I'm surprised he got work after that, honestly.
He seemed crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He, another note about him, in that big fight scene, he went too crazy, and I believe he broke his thumb.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's what I mean. It's take it down a notch. There's so much going on. I just don't know. It felt like it was like a distraction. Yeah. It didn't feel like a character. It felt like a distraction.
And then even that simple scene in the kitchen when he's there with 2-Bit eating the cake.
Yeah.
He has cake smeared all over his face.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either. It's what are you doing?
Is he just an animal?
He was trying. I feel like, here's my thought about Tom Cruise. I felt like, very similar to what you're thinking, I'm going to make it my own. Yeah. But I also felt like he felt, I'm in an ensemble cast, and I have 3 lines in the whole movie. Mm-hmm. I need to make every scene, I need to stand out somehow.
Yeah.
So every scene, he was either smearing cake on his face, or doing a backflip, or doing weird voices. I really feel like that was an intention that he had in every stupid scene he was in, and it was awful.
I completely agree. And during the fight scene, he keeps... going with both arms up, and I'm like, oh, is the scene over? That's how distracting he was. I thought the scene was over because every time he punched a guy, he went crazy, and raised his arms in the air. And it's why didn't I'm surprised Francis Ford Coppola didn't say, Tom, sweetie.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, he had a lot of other people to manage, but yes, I completely agree. And I guess that's why they called him Steve. Do you think it's funny? It's Dairy, 2-Bit, Soda Pop, Pony Boy, and Steve.
Yeah, he was... I'm so glad we have that same note. That was my worst performance.
Oh my gosh.
Worst performance, absolutely.
It stuck out as a...
We might have to remember that for our end of the year
nominations.
Yes. Again, we went kind of glazed over the big iconic dialogue. We'll do it for Johnny, man. We'll do it for Johnny, which I always thought was do it for Johnny. Do it for Johnny. But no, it's we'll do it for Johnny, man. We'll do it for Johnny. Matt Dillon says that line.
Yes.
Which is funny because is Matt Dillon even in that fight?
He runs, right? He's the one that starts it. So he was in the hospital and he was all bummed out that he was going to miss it. And then they were
that's right.
Right?
Totally right. I'm
That's
sorry.
how it all started. He comes running. We didn't really talk too much about the fire. We started to, and then we decided not to. I thought it was okay. Again, the green screen drove me crazy with the fake smoke. I'm like, oh, God, come on. Like, I guess I never realized until, even after, like, these 2 years of doing this podcast, I feel like the last few episodes have been a lot more glaring in the effects. And maybe it's the movies that we've chosen.
You're a bit brutal. I'm really sorry. I thought the fire was done really well.
There were certain scenes.
Oh my God.
Not necessarily the fire. It was more like the black smoke around. It was like when they were approaching it.
Sure.
You know, things like that. And the thing is, I'm not blaming the movie. I get the technology and all that. I think it's more, for me, noticing it now.
That's preventing you from enjoying it more.
I think that's the middle-aged lens thing.
So, but you do know that this was a real fire. Like, this was set on fire. It almost got way too out of control. Luckily, a rainstorm.
Oh my gosh.
And they said if that rainstorm hadn't happened, it would have been a lot worse.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it looks like a real fire while they're in it.
Okay.
It's more, what I'm talking about is when they were approaching it, like when they're standing there looking at it.
Okay.
It's again a super green screen situation going on. I'm telling you, it was strange.
I'm telling you, when they're in it though, I hook, line, and sinker for me. I was like, oh my God, these kids are gonna die. Like there were a couple of times where I'm like, I don't remember, like, and I couldn't remember like. Obviously, I remember then what happened to Johnny, but I didn't remember what happened to the kids. Like, did they save all these kids? Does any kid die? Like,
I was thinking, and I think I'll have to ask Emily this. It might be because of the conversations I had with Emily about the book, but I thought it was just Johnny that ran in, or I thought it was Johnny's idea to run in, but it was really Ponyboy's idea, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he was the first one in.
Yeah, well, we know that Dallas wanted nothing to do with it.
And Dallas was just like, what the hell?
So fucking funny.
That was really funny. That was really, really funny. The best was when he's on the stretcher going by Ponyboy. He's like, if you ever pull that shit again, I'm going to fucking kill you. Whatever. I probably didn't say fucking. If you ever pull a stunt like that again, I'm going to kill you. As he's being rolled past him on a stretcher. Oh, my God. But, very scary scene. They saved a bunch of kids.
They did.
I mean, I thought it was a good scene. It was a really good scene. I liked that Dallas did end up helping, pulling the kids out. He didn't go into the fire, but he was helping to pull them through the windows. Yeah. I love that kid that bit him.
Oh my God.
That was really funny.
Yeah.
Did you notice there was one kid? It was, and this is something I never noticed. I probably wouldn't have. They brought one kid out, right? One of the little kids. Yeah. Drops him on, and the little kid... He must have just graduated from acting school. He gets out and he literally goes, he wipes his head and he doesn't, you can't hear him say it, but you can see him say, whew. And then runs away.
Oh my God, I didn't notice.
Oh, that's wicked funny. Maybe we'll try to find that scene too. It was really, really funny.
So then poor Johnny. I just wrote, where's Mr. Miyagi when you need him?
Right?
I mean, he's in so much pain.
Oh,
and I
it's
can't imagine.
It was so believable.
Because he's laying on his stomach.
Yeah.
Because he has burns on his back. And they don't show the burns.
No.
Which, in my mind, that's how powerful it was back then.
Yes.
I remember seeing the burns. Isn't that weird?
You mentioned that like in the Penny episode. I imagine, I could see her
being
burning.
This was the movie for me where I'm like, oh shit. To the point, Christina was like, I don't know if I'm ready to see the burns on him again.
Oh my God.
They never existed.
They never showed. He has a little bit on the neck later. He shows a little bit, but it's nothing.
It's
like
nothing.
I had imagined.
It's nothing. It's almost like, can you get a little sponge? Get a sponge bath? It'll look a little better. But it's like but I do think it's funny with what the mind does to you as a kid. Like you just imagine these far worse visions that aren't even real. It's crazy in these movies.
It really is crazy how that happens.
Things you remember.
Just envision.
The things that you remember that didn't happen.
Right? Totally.
In a movie.
It makes me question every conversation I've ever had. But, it's so sad, the dialogue he says. He's like, I was saying I wanted to kill myself, but I don't. 16 years isn't enough. And oh my God, it's so sad, especially knowing that he is going to die.
Yeah.
And just how he's like, just regrets it. And oh my God.
He's great.
He's so
great.
good.
We didn't talk about much about Ralph Macchio, but he's great even when, a little slow in the uptake, but I thought the acting was great.
Yes.
Is that he, with the rings, and he keeps looking at the guy with the rings,
yes.
and he's like looking at the rings, and he's like getting scared, and that anxiety's happening for him, and you feel it.
You do.
And I think it's far from subtle, but I think it's still well done.
I think so too. I don't think it's too
He's a kid
obvious.
who's afraid of being scarred again.
Right. I don't think it's too obvious. I think that it's very much how I think people would react. Because I don't think that he knew who it was until he saw the rings. Right? Like, I feel like all of a sudden he's like, he's... Like, that's the part he remembered was the rings. And then he noticed, he's like, it's the kid with the rings.
I agree. That's what I mean, though. I think I'm surprised he didn't recognize the guy's, face. But maybe it just...
Well, you just wonder...
Maybe it happened fast.
Like, post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe, knowing Bob, he probably ran at him from behind.
He probably just sucker punched him and ran off. Yeah, true. My only other notes, I have two little notes. I wrote, again, CThomasHowell is excellent in this. And I wrote, Matt Dillon is funny, brilliant, and theatrical. Raves Brian Macefield of Old Roommates. But I did write, it made me want to watch more Matt Dillon, young Matt Dillon movies.
Me too.
Because I know he was in, Rumblefish? The Flamingo Kid. He's in a bunch of... things I've never seen before. So it's like... but I was like, he's really, really
He's really,
good.
really good. And I forgot how much of a crush I had on him when I was a teenager. I loved him. Mm-hmm. I loved Matt Dillon.
More than Rob Lowe at that point.
I knew at the beginning of the episode, I'm going to say
well.
Damon. I know, I was doing really, really well. I loved when he was yelling at the nurse. I thought that was really funny. Again, the same type of idea, just a funny, charming, but he just doesn't understand himself. I love, 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 love. I wrote Patrick Swayze looking good. Oh my gosh. This might have been when I first started liking Patrick Swayze, actually. I talked about it before.
Angela Lansbury always looks old.
Yes.
Patrick Swayze always looked...
Just always looks like a man. We talked about that
He always looks 32.
Yeah.
He always looks 32 and hot.
Mm-hmm.
This is 1983, and I'm just he looks like a full-grown man. And to be fair, he was, right?
Yes, he was in his 20s or something, right?
Did I write it? Shit. I thought I wrote it down. I believe Patrick Swayze was 31, and CThomasHowell was a teenager.
Yeah.
So, it looks a bit odd, to be honest, but Patrick Swayze is great in this. His second movie, he controls...
He's just a man. So good. I just wanted to hug him. I wanted him to take care of me. I wanted to do things to... No,
at least he's legal.
Yes. Brian, let's take a short break. Please, yeah. You want to take a short break? Yeah. And I want to just see if I missed anything. We can get back here with some questions.
And I have some trivia, too.
Good. Yeah, so let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Hey there, it's Brian.
And Christina.
And we have some exciting news. We now have bonus content on Patreon.
If you're a fan of old roommates or simply enjoy revisiting pop culture, we would love for you to check out our page at patreon.com/oldroommates. Patrons of Old Roommates can expect exclusive content such as special episodes, movie recommendations, special videos from us, and bonus content, among other things. Your support will help us to create more content, offset publishing costs, and expand our resources to improve your listening experience.
Whether you become a patron or not, we appreciate your support. Drop us a comment on social media, give us a rating or review on your podcast app of choice, or send us a message at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for listening, and now, back to the show. And we're back talking about The Outsiders, the Francis Ford Coppola 1983 film. Christina, any final thoughts?
A big note that I had here was the music. The music choices I thought were they were just a bit much, and again, distracting. I thought a lot, like there was the scene with Ponyboy and Cherry, and it was a nice scene, but the music was so dramatic and it was almost like overpowering. And Matt actually said it pretty, really best, because he was like, well, it's a Francis Ford Coppola movie, and it feels that with the music. Like, it feels very dramatic kind of music. And I don't think that it suited the scenes in some of the softer spoken scenes. Even the one with the Stay Gold one, it had like this really weird music in the background.
So here's what's funny. My Then was all about it's way too dramatic, way too heavy. The issue was partly with the music. It was way too theatrical and too heavy, you know?
That's right.
But this one, it didn't bother me so much. I think one thing that, the person who put the music together, the composer, music person? Sure, music by guy, is his father, is Francis Ford Coppola's father.
Oh, okay.
So now in the director's cut and the redo with the extended footage, he cut a lot of that music out and put in pop music of that era.
Well, what's funny is Matt actually had that suggestion. He's like, and I wonder now that makes me wonder if maybe he had seen the director's cut. Because he had said it would work so much better if it had music from that era in this movie. And it makes so much more sense that way.
I think it's post-2000, too. 2000, meaning the DVD. It's like a special DVD. So, but I think that's a better choice. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of our Mask conversation, the Cher movie.
Yes.
I think for more of a time and place idea, and because it's dramatic enough. Two people have died, gang violence, domestic violence, all this stuff. It's like, I don't think we need like that heavy-handed music. I agree, but it bothered me less as an adult now. And I think it's a good note that Matt had about Francis Ford Coppola movies. Yes. I love his movies. And so maybe that's why, being older now, I'm like, I'm not fazed by this.
Right, you've seen enough of them now, you're kind of used to it. And the Stevie Wonder song I was not a big fan of.
I don't like it. And that's how it starts. What
it
starts a downer.
And what's funny is my first note, I wrote, what a strange opening song. This belongs more at the end.
1,000%.
And I think it is the same song. In fact, you know what's really funny about that beginning? The beginning is so strange. We put it on the DVD. Mm-hmm. And it starts playing, right, with him writing his thing, starting to write the story. And then it shows the credits. And for a second, I said, wait, is this the end? I thought
oh my God, that's right, because it does do that. It does the cast.
I'm like, was that the final scene? Yeah. And Matt was like, no, this is how it was. And I'm like, and still afterwards, I'm like, I think this might be the end. Here it is. That's it. I mean, not exactly a block one, a Billboard top 10.
No, it's a pretty. Yeah.
And I do think it's the last song, also, right? Do they say?
Yeah, they bring it back.
Do the same song, but it was very strange, very, very strange. So the music choices, and then my only other note was like that sad ending of Dallas.
Yeah.
So sad, and what I'd forgotten was I thought he just kind of went crazy and couldn't deal with it, and then just basically committed suicide, right? Like by fire, right?
Yeah.
But what I didn't remember was him calling Daryl and being like, "I need help," and then they all were supposed to meet him at the park to help hide him. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, did that bring it to another level? Yeah, that was so sad. I'm like, no.
Is that what you cried about the first time around?
No, I cried when Johnny died.
Okay.
Yeah, first time.
Right.
And then I probably just kept crying because it was like...
You know, I feel like for me, it's like, I obviously remembered it, but I think even when I watched it the first time, I'm like, I don't know how else this could end. Because it's so dark and heavy and intense, and it's only going to end badly.
Honestly, I would have thought that Dallas would just leave town.
Mm.
Like, I would have felt like that would have been appropriate you just never...
Yeah, because he was always the man with the plan. He always knew what to do.
Yeah. The other note, just my last note about this movie, I was telling Matt about this too. My memory of this was the fire was so much closer to the end. Oh. I completely forgot about the whole rumble. I forgot so much about... I felt like the fire, Johnny dying, like I cut out like a half hour of this movie. And which was funny because I'm watching it and I'm like, what? The fire's here already? Like, what time is it? Like...
Well... So funny you say that, because I remember thinking this movie is 2 hours long. It's not. It's like 91 minutes. 91 minutes. And I remember thinking, this is another epic saga.
I thought it was an appropriate length.
But it feels, it's the right length, absolutely. Yeah. But it feels like an epic thing. Because there's a lot to it. But I definitely remembered the fight. And it's funny. I think we have similar notes in that, because I think I misremembered things.
Sure.
And maybe some of the chronological... Like, again, the church on fire, I only remembered it when I saw the cigarette. And it was
it's so funny.
The whole thing
and I feel like it's that whole...
And I forgot, because I thought Johnny died in gang violence. Yeah. Like, if I were to guess on, like, a... You know.
Well, even with me, with the whole, we'll do it for Johnny. Like, what the hell was he talking about? If there was no, I don't know what I was thinking they were doing for Johnny.
Oh my God.
So anyway, so crazy. So such a great, what did you think? Did you like it more? Do you have other notes? Sorry.
Just some trivia. So, Essie Hinton is a woman. Mm-hmm. She played one of the nurses in this movie.
Yes.
Okay. The budget was $10 million. It made $34 million. So it was
and Essie Hinton was the author of this.
Yeah, so Susan Eloise Hinton is her full name. You know how old she was when she wrote The Outsiders?
Oh my gosh. I want to say 30.
15.
Oh my God!
She was 15, and she showed it to an agent. The person said, yes, but they're not going to take you seriously, because you're, first of all, a young girl, but second of all, you're a female.
So smart.
So S.E. Hinton, she wrote other books like Rumblefish and others. There's a librarian, the history of how this movie got made. Ellen Mazakian was a librarian. She had a petition created for between 7th and 8th graders at a school, and she sent the petition to Francis Ford Coppola saying, like, you need to make this movie. And then for the big fight, I wrote, Emilio Estevez cut his lip. CThomasHowell got a black eye.
Oh, wow.
And then Tom Cruise broke his thumb. Do we want to talk about the BuzzFeed?
Yeah. So definitely. Go ahead.
We found this BuzzFeed quiz, and I am Soda Pop, trying to bring positive energy to negative situations.
That's right. And I am 2-Bit, the comic relief. And so we're going to post that BuzzFeed quiz. Who are you? Which outsider are you? On our Patreon page. So if you haven't already signed up, please go to patreon.com/ I almost said /the outsiders. So it's patreon.com / old roommates. Yeah, there's so much on there already. We have movie reviews on there. We have a getting to know you videos from us. We have that special Penny episode from Good Times that we have.
It's shaping up.
It's it's looking good. So, but now this week we have posted up which outsiders person you are. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see what you guys are. That would be awesome. Drop us a line. Let us know.
Yeah,
maybe I wonder if you can do comments on that. I'm not even sure. If you can, do comments on it. I think there's a chat room type of thing on Patreon. So we're new to Patreon. We don't really know. But also we're going to add that story. We have a story about our camping experience and a raccoon. So you need to just pipe in for that. That's going to be on our Patreon page as well. Okay, so are we ready for questions?
Yes.
All right. So I have an FMK.
I have a match game.
All right. I'll go first. I feel like it's better with the FMK. Okay. And I have this is new.
Oh.
This is our first ever, Brian.
Okay.
This is a double FMK.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to give you 6.
Oh my! I'm writing them down. Okay.
And there's going to be FF, MM, KK.
Okay. Cool.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's first ever in Old Roommates history of this. Okay. So our choices are, I think you could probably guess all of them. Okay. So it's Dallas.
Yeah.
Darry.
Yeah.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Soda Pop.
Yeah.
2-Bit.
Yeah.
And Pony Boy. So we need 2 Fs, 2 Ms, and 2 Ks. So I know it's...
Oh my God, this is... You're doing it too. You're guessing what I'm going to say.
I'm going to guess what you're going to say.
Okay.
I'm going to guess what you're going to say. All right, so... I know, we should have the match game music.
No!
Oh, no, you're right, sorry.
It's only for our match game questions, which are coming right up. Oh, yeah. This is actually surprisingly easy. I'm done. Ding!
Oh my gosh. All right, I think I know, but I'm going to...
And to be clear, am I effing? No, you're not.
Oh, no.
Oh,
everybody's 18 and over.
Thank you. Everyone's 18, and it's one at a time, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right, I got to cross them off. Do I get everybody?
I'm not marrying 2 people. I think I have it. I really do. FMK.
Okay.
The Outsiders.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. I'll start with effing. I will...
Okay. Honestly, this is exactly what I would do, too. So it's going to be... probably, this is what I think you'll do, and this is what
I will F Dallas and Soda Pop.
Yes! Yes!
I will marry Darry and Pony Boy.
Yes!
No!
Oh my God!
And then killing Johnny and 2-Bit.
Oh my gosh!
Johnny... I feel bad, but...
Yeah, but
we
have nothing in common.
No.
He seems too fragile to F.
And listen, if I made a cake and 2-Bit ate it with his bare hands, the relationship would not last long.
Brian, for you, that was my first answer. Like, that was a no-brainer for me. Like, oh, he's killing 2-Bit.
Oh my, Christina, we did it!
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So funny.
That is so funny.
All right.
So funny.
Next is our true match game question. And I think you're really proud of me. I think
I'm
this
excited.
is pretty good.
I'm excited for it.
Because it starts very classic match game. Dumb Donald is so dumb.
I love it. How dumb is he?
He rented The Outsiders, but thought it was Dirty Dancing. The whole time he was watching the movie, he kept waiting for Patrick Swayze and Diane Lane to blank. You see, Dumb Donald is so dumb. He rented The Outsiders, thinking it was Dirty Dancing. The whole time he's watching The Outsiders, he keeps waiting for Patrick Swayze and Diane Lane to blank.
All right, I got it.
All right. Ding.
Ding. Oh my God.
I don't have to repeat it again, do I?
No.
So the whole time, he kept waiting for Patrick Swayze and Diane Lane to...
do the lift.
Oh! So good. I was gonna write the lift.
Yes.
I was gonna write the cha-cha.
Oh, yeah.
Instead, I wrote the mambo.
Oh my God, that's good too.
Good
That's great. I almost said the tango, and then I'm like, no, you got to do the lift.
Good
That's
stuff.
great. And that's it for us in this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And please give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you're interested in more Old Roommates, including special episodes, bonus content, movie recommendations, and more, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/oldroommates. Comments and ideas can be emailed to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Old Roommates.
Thanks again for listening. This is Christina.
And this is Brian. Until next time.